Welcome. I'm Liana Fricker, founder and inspirer-in-chief at Inspiration Space. And today I am pleased to be welcomed by Jim Holland, founder and CEO of Carma. If you've been following our story, you will know that we are all about putting environmental stewardship at the heart of entrepreneurship. With starting a business comes great responsibility, and your company simply cannot cost us the earth. The climate crisis is raging. We need to reduce our carbon emissions to protect the people on the planet. We all live together in an ecosystem, and it needs to be balanced. I know one of the things that stops a lot of small businesses from taking that next step, moving from what is to what if, is jargon. So I want to start just by demystifying net zero. What is net zero? Put simply, it's about the balance between the amount of greenhouse gases. You'll often you'll hear these referred to as GHGs that are produced by human activity and the amount that's removed from the atmosphere. And as it stands, since the Industrial Revolution, we have very quickly gone beyond the limits of what the earth can absorb on its own. And so like a diet, we need to cut back. You can't lose weight if you don't cut calories, and exercise is really the icing on the cake. And so when you think about something like offsets, that's something to consider once you've cut your emissions back as far as they go. Having said that, sustainability is about more than just your emissions. It's also about social value. It's about doing good business, and that means thinking about the community and the people around you. And with Karma Earth, this is exactly the premise that Jim has come up with, which is around giving more than you take. So I'm delighted to have Jim here with us. Karma and Inspiration Space are joining forces for the Low Carbon Accelerator to make sure that everyone can amplify their impact, not just by reducing emissions, but by putting more of a social mission at the heart of what they're doing and being able to track that impact. So Jim, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So I want to start by getting your story and how you went from the Navy to airports to trees.
Yeah, lovely. And thanks for asking. And it goes a little bit further back than how I went from the Navy, really. I was born in a town in South Yorkshire called Barnsley, way back, over 50 years ago. And the best decision, and I maintain this, that I ever made was leaving Barnsley when I was 17. It was in an industrial coal town. It had been decimated at the end of the miners' strike. There was very little opportunity. And even if I had left school with 3 outstanding A levels and a bag full of O levels, there was still no industry there to forge a career from. And so I took my 3 poor O levels and I joined the Royal Navy. And I had 13 wonderful years traveling the world, learning about life, learning about people, and more importantly, learning about myself. And by the time I left the Royal Navy, 13 years later, I got a degree in computing, HND in electronic engineering, and a wealth of experience. That's people experience, that's management experience, that's life experience. And I got injured playing rugby. I played rugby league for the Navy. I played a lot of rugby union. And I got injured, and unfortunately I got medically discharged from the Navy when I was 30. And I made a really poor decision. I went back to Barnsley. And whilst I'd moved on significantly in those 13 years, Barnsley hadn't. There was still very little opportunity. And I really struggled to resettle. I bought a town centre pub because I'd got loads of cash. But I very soon ran out of cash, and I got in with the wrong crowd. And I always say you're a product of the environment that you're in, and I really was a product of that environment, and it amplified all the bad traits I had and detracted from the good ones. But I was very fortunate to realise that I was coming unstuck. And the reason I was coming unstuck, I've had a chance to reflect on that over the last, 20 years, is that when you leave the forces, you lose three things overnight: your forces family, your purpose, and your identity. And I really struggled to resettle, but I was very fortunate. I'd got a good network when I was in the Navy, and fortunately, one of my friends rang me up and said, "What are you doing, Jim?" I'm struggling, if I'm honest. I was a roofer at the time. I was in the back of someone's van. I was on my way to a roofing job. And he said, "What are you doing that for? You've got a degree in computing." He was at Vodafone, and he was part of a Unix team. And he said, I'm going to speak to my boss. He said, "We're recruiting." He said, "Do a little bit of research and I'll get my boss to ring you. I've got your CV." So he sent my CV to his boss. 5 minutes later, his boss rang me. I'll never forget this phone call. A guy called Mike O'Connor said, "Jim?" I said, "Oh yeah, Mike." He said, "Oh, brilliant. I've got your CV in front of me. You've got a degree in computing. I'm recruiting for a Unix engineer. What do you know about Unix?" Well, I'm going to be really honest with you here, Mike. I've just Googled it. There's 48 commands. How hard can it really be? And he just bust out laughing. He went, "That's brilliant." And cut a long story short, 3 weeks later, after an interview, I joined Vodafone, and I had 8 wonderful years at Vodafone. That was my resettlement, a big company, a clear mission, clear values, very customer centric, great place to work. The campus in Newbury, it's like a university campus. It's just wonderful, full of like-minded people who are going places. And some of the people I work with then have had stellar careers, to say the least. And interestingly, the CEO, when I joined, he's back as the group CEO, which probably is the biggest job in telco on the planet. Well done to Nick and Nick Reed. Yeah, that was my resettlement, Vodafone. And I left Vodafone. I got a great job offer up at Sky. I was head of quality and compliance and head of sales at Sky. I left Sky and went to Manchester Airport Group as the head of commercial at Stansted Airport, and everything was going great guns with record numbers of passengers, 100,000 passengers per day going through that airport. Then all of a sudden, 2020, COVID hit. And we went from moving 100,000 passengers a day down to 12. And I don't mean 12,000, 12 passengers, because there was no one coming through the airport. There was literally 3 sheep and a shepherd in that airport, this massive facility there with no one in it. So I was very quickly furloughed and then made redundant in September 2020. And the furlough time, everyone had the same reflection. I think they had time to sit and think what really mattered to them in life. And I remember thinking, this is brilliant. I'm spending a lot more time with people I love, doing things I want to do. And it was the most fantastic of time. I've got 4 daughters. I met my wife, Sally, at Vodafone. Vodafone has got a lot to answer for in my life, Liana. And I thought, I really like this. I could warm into this. And I started thinking about all the things that had happened in my life that out with my control that I'd done nothing about because of time constraints. And tragically, and it really is tragically, one of my best friends in the Navy took his own life on his journey to resettlement about 2 months in. And whilst I went to his funeral, and I played rugby league with this guy, and a lot of the Royal Navy Rugby League teammates were at the funeral, but we didn't do anything above and beyond that. And felt like it'd been gnawing at me for a while, and got together with a couple of teammates, Neil Gay and Andy Steele, and we came up with the idea of forming a charity to help people out on that transition, leaving the forces. So we brought a few more people in. Wayne O'Kell, Rear Admiral Chris Parry is in there. Jason Steele. There's a few of us. We got together and we formed a charity called In Touch Royal Navy Rugby League. And In Touch is built on 3 pillars: reset, reconnect, relive. Reset is all about mentoring people on their journey, leaving the forces after playing rugby league at a senior level. Reconnect, reaching out and talking to your old teammates. and relive getting together once or twice a year, having a few beers and a meal, and remembering how good old bad you were 25 years ago. And we had our second meal on March the 17th down at the Village Hotel in Portsmouth, a roaring success. And we've raised a lot of money for charity, and we've been able to help people out with their lives post leaving the Royal Navy. And it's a wonderful thing to be part of. But the reason I'm telling you that, because it's pivotal in this story, because it started with all about giving back and understanding some of the gaps in your life that had naturally been created through time restraints. But I reconnected with Dr. Andrew Steele, as he now is, Andy Steele, when he was in the Navy. And he was a captain of the Royal Navy Rugby League team. And when Andy left the Navy 18 years ago, might be a little bit longer now, he moved out to Bangkok and started the Plant a Tree Today Foundation. And over the last 18 years, he's planted 3.5 million trees on 3 different continents: Southeast Asia, Africa, and in the UK. And when I was talking to him on a Zoom call like this, his background was blurred. So I said, "He's still out in Bangkok then, Andy?" And he said, "No, I've moved back to," and wait for it, he moved back from Bangkok to Hull. I'm like, "Andy, no one moves from Bangkok to Hull, mate." And he said, "No, he said, look, I had to come home at some point." I said, "So what are you doing?" He said, "Don't worry." He said, "I'm still planting trees." He said, "But you won't realise this, Jim." He said, "But 10% of people leaving the armed forces, depending on where they are regionally, don't get employment straight away. And of the ones who do within 2 years, a further 15% need a hand up." And I'm like, wow. So why do you think I won't realise that? He said, "Well, you've done well for yourself." I said, "Look, I really struggled on the pathway to resettlement." He said, "We love what we're doing now." He said, "We employ veterans and service leavers to do nature-based tasks, such as planting trees, clearing woodlands, fencing. They're doing some softscaping at the minute, fighting invasive species, Japanese knotweed and Himalayan balsam. And the Green Task Force, it's made up of service leavers and veterans, some of whom have got PTSD, and they treat them through nature-based therapy. Everyone gets a vocational qualification in horticulture as a bare minimum. And then they work with recruitment companies to get them back on the employment ladder once they've got a story to tell, bit of confidence, an emotional and a physical backstop in the form of the Green Task Force." And when he told me that, I just sat here in this very chair, in this very room, and thought, wow. And I said, "Mate, that is brilliant. How can I help?" And he laughed and he looked at me and he said, "Well, you can't plant trees, Lofty, because I was there when you got injured." And I said, "No, I can't plant trees." I said, "But what I can do is pull a proposition together that gets you more trees to plant." And that's how Carma was born. We started off as Rewards Earth. We've morphed into Carma. And at Carma, what we do is we make social and climate impact simple and affordable. And we do that through planting trees in the UK. We've got overseas reforestation partners. And we just love doing good and working with businesses to, through a digital platform, connect them to reforestation projects. And yeah, absolutely love what we're doing. That's the story of how it came about. But it's a wonderful thing to be part of. We've been blown away by the response we've had from industry. Everybody, we were at the Natural and Organic Produce exhibition over the weekend. We spoke to hundreds of people, literally hundreds of people. Everyone loves what we're doing because we provide simple and easy and effective mechanisms to give back to people and planet, and let them display that because of the importance to them and the customers. People increasingly make values-based decisions. If you can show the masses what you're doing and how they can get involved and demonstrate in terms of trees funded, work days created, there's a metric. When you employ someone to do something, you impact their lives so greatly. They can send the children to school, they can put food on the table. It's just a joyous thing to do. And you display that on the impact dashboard, work days created. And over time, all this absorbs. You put a tree in the ground, And there's a lot of naysayers who say they don't condone tree planting as an offset. We're not an offsetting company, but it's empirical. You put a tree in the ground, the tree grows, it absorbs CO2 from the atmosphere. And we love doing what we do. Absolutely love it.
So I want to talk to you about moving from your idea to an MVP, because at the end of the day, Inspiration Space is all about supporting people in their path to and through entrepreneurship. And you worked in the forces, or you were in the Navy, and then you worked at large companies, sales positions. How did you then create that proposition to move from your idea to then the first version of Rewards Earth, now Karma?
We spoke to people. What did people want? And like I said, we wanted it to be simple and affordable. Now, you see, I come from a telco, Vodafone, which was my first sort of cutting my teeth into corporates, and then Sky, and then latterly Stansted Airport. And the thing that both telco and Sky have in common was the subscription-based services. And I really understood the metrics, having worked operationally, having worked in the sales space. So we came up with the MVP in Rewards Earth of planting trees every month and people subscribing. And then we went out to market with it. We spoke to people. And again, the response was great. We got people signing up. We got loads of feedback. Oh, could we do more in this space? So we created the product. Well, we spoke to people. We created the product. We went live with it. People started buying it. And we thought, wow, we're onto something here. And then we started. I think the key to any product is finding out if people are going to buy it and then use it. So, you know, we've got lots of active users. We're growing our customer base all the time. We're working predominantly B2B at the minute, but we'll come on to that. But yeah, we validate the proposition. We then start doing corporate tree planting days, which just really took off. Everybody loves coming and spending the day with us in nature, putting trees in the ground, because the connection you get with each other, the environment, the mental health benefits is just absolutely amazing. So yeah, we love doing that.
And was there anything that surprised you as you were developing the actual product?
In terms of surprises, yeah, for me, it was the complexity of user journeys. Have we nailed them at Karma? Not quite yet, but how everything meshes together, from a value prop to getting that built. Initially, we were in WordPress. We've moved right away from WordPress now to getting that into a value prop, to getting that into the web, to getting that customer flow, the back end to sync up to the front end, your email journeys. Are we there yet? I would say we were 95%, but the complexity. And then, of course, the tools that you need to start integrating into your website in terms of CRM, so HubSpot, MailChimp, and the list isn't endless, but it's sometimes daunting when you sit down and think, what have I got to do today? And to get it all right, it's an art. And to do that with a small team, and let's face it, you don't get much smaller than one initially. Then going up to two. Unfortunately, we're in a position now where we've got lots more bodies on the ground, which will make this infinitely easier.
And so then how do you prioritize? Because that's something that is a real challenge when you're starting, because you're balancing out this grand vision and your excitement for what can be in the future, the practicalities of the day-to-day, and you have to bridge that gap through action, but it can't just be any action.
Absolutely not. And as a bootstrapping, self-funding startup, the priority is jungle rules, is what's going to put food on the table. So you might have all these fanciful ideas of what you could be doing in 2, 3, 5 years' time, but every day was an existential situation for us. So we had to chase low-hanging fruit. What's going to turn into cash fastest? How do we turn prospects into customers? And for me, we had to put a lot of things, and a lot of things are still on the back burner that we'd really like to be doing, but do we know if it's going to pay? No. That makes the decision. If it's not going to put bread on the table, it ain't happening. And really, it was that brutal. And initially, we were a revenue-led business. Now that's all changed. We got investment at Christmas, and that has actually changed our decision making ever so slightly, in the fact that we can afford to be not blasé, but a little bit more entrepreneurial in our decision making, and say we've got really strong hunch that this is going to work well for us, but it's not going to bear any fruit for the first 3 to potentially, dare I say it, 6 months. So we've just about finished our Shopify app. Within touching distance of that going live, we've got an amazing API that we can integrate into digital gift card sellers that's been built, with all sorts of tech on the horizon. And the investment has helped us reframe some of our decision making and remove some of the immediate necessity to get cash in the bank. But without that, we wouldn't be where we are today.
I love that. There's in our pre-accelerator and incubator, our second module is all about finding that low-hanging fruit. So you look outwards 3 years as if you had this magic wand, and then you work backwards thinking about all the resources that you need. And then we bring it way back into, I love this expression, jungle roots. Okay, what's going to actually move the needle over the next 12 months? And the reality is it can't be more than 3 things. And even 3 is too much. We underestimate what we can do in a year and overestimate what we can do in a day. But that brutal prioritization is absolutely key. And it's so easy to live in the future. And something that I say to the businesses that we mentor is, when we get to that problem, that's going to be a nice problem to have, because it means that we did everything else.
Yes, exactly. 100%. And throughout my corporate career, I use a very basic tool. It's a commercial matrix. What value is something going to deliver on one axis versus effort on the other axis? So if you've got something that's high value, low effort, let's get doing it. If it's low effort, low value, let's still do it. But if it's high effort, low value, let's count that out. That's a time sink. We need to move on. And then anything else that's high effort, high value, that's a long-term strategic project. And at that point, let's build out to that, but let's get the stuff that's easy. It's gonna pay the bills straight away.
I love it. That's the second part of the second workshop. We're teaching new beginnings now. That's the exact same tool that we use. I love it. Because these simple mental frameworks make it very easy, especially if you're creatively inclined. And I've got ADHD. So sometimes I need to just strip everything back and I need to see it visually. And that matrix is a really great way of prioritizing, because you're not leaving or casting aside your grand visions, but what you are doing is racking and stacking them so you can see where they fit in, what you need to do next, and even more importantly, what doesn't matter at all. Because in this age of social media, where you can spend all of your time, especially if you're a bootstrapper, effectively being the social media manager of the business, but not going out and speaking to customers, you can see what is just inconsequential right now, that it just doesn't need to be done right now. And that's so important. And that's part of sustainability. That's part of giving that balance. And that's part of giving more than you take, because wasted effort is still energy. It's just not being converted into anything.
Absolutely.
So I want to ask you about the Carma mission to remove 1 billion tons of CO2. Now, you said that you're not an offsetting company. So do you want to explain why you're not an offsetting company and how you speak to your customers about offsets to make that distinction?
Absolutely. So made a real conscious decision not to be an offsetting company, because when we first started out, it was all about the social aspect. How do we get more employment days for the Green Task Force in the northeast of England to get them planting trees? And we did a little bit of research, and the research naturally pulled us in the direction of carbon offsets. And the more I looked into it, the more I became confused, the less I trusted it. And I'm like, okay, so if I am buying into a cook stove project, a wind farm, a solar farm, it's somewhere on the other side of the world, how do I convey to my customers that is happening and what they're paying for comes to fruition? And the more I looked at it, and then I get it's gold standard, we've got the VCS credits, but I'm just like, I didn't get it. I didn't buy into it personally, and it's very difficult to sell things that you don't personally buy into. Now, cook stove's a great example. If I was going out to Africa and giving the cook stove and seeing it in action, I'd feel more comfortable. But with the trees and planting the trees, I was really comfortable doing it. And I'm speaking to Dr. Steele about this, and I said, look, so how much does a tree offset in the UK? And he went, oh, and he started scratching his head and started laughing. He said, look, he said, it depends on the species, it depends where you grow it, depends on the seasons in the first 10 years. He said, it's such a broad brush. He said, it's a minefield. He said, yeah. I said, so what do we do? He said, look, there's a few empirical things that happen in this process. Firstly, when you employ someone to plant a tree, you improve their life. He said, you've got your social impact. That is categorical. That's a cast iron fact. The second thing is when you put that tree in the ground, you get net biodiversity gain. The tree grows, the species that it harbors. We've done a lot of hedgerows over the last 3 months, and the nature's superhighway. How cool is that? All the birds that kill the pests in the crops, the voles, the shrews, the rabbits that all live in the hedgerows. It's just phenomenal. He said, so you've got that net biodiversity again. He said, and look, the intended consequence of all of this is it absorbs CO2 as it grows. He said, but can you hang your hat on a precise number? He said, no way. He said, I wouldn't put my credibility out there. He said, however, he said, your average tree over 100 years, you will offset 1.5 tons of CO2. It might live to be 300 years old. It might not make the first season. He said, so we've got to work in broad brush averages. And he said, but he said, I would counsel against leading with the offset. It's just a nice intended consequence of what will happen empirically down the line. So we went with that approach, and we've never, and the amount of conversations I've had where people said, you're not just another offset company, are you? I said, no, that's just a nice thing that happens. And when we say over a year on averages, over a lifetime, one of our trees in the UK will offset 0.7 of a ton of CO2. And offshore, because of mortality rates, because of species, we've halved that and took a little bit more off. And so we say 0.3 of a ton. But we're not sat firmly in the carbon offsetting space. We've partnered with companies who do that, empirically measure your scope 1, your scope 2, and your scope 3 emissions, and will go out and source you the best carbon credits and give you a choice as to what you want to buy into in the market. But from a Carma perspective, we're all about people and planet. We totally understand the mechanics behind what we do. We love the impact it has socially. So for the time being, we're sticking to that. Never say never, but I need winning over, and I need more understanding on a personal level and trust. If you don't trust what you're selling, you're not going to love it.
And that's key. And that's why Inspiration Space and Carma are joining forces for the Low Carbon Accelerator. And that's really exciting because on our side, we're all about closing the carbon literacy gap, because you can't trust or make the choices that you need to make for your business if you don't understand the science behind it and how all of this fits together in a wider conversation around climate justice. And that also then includes social value. And so for our next group of students joining, you'll get access to the Carma dashboard. And it means that you'll be able to absorb 44.6 tons of CO2 through over 12 months with the Carma Hero. And that's on top of the digital climate action planner that you get access to. And we will also introduce you to one of my favorite tools. I'm such a nerd, which is Sage Earth. I love it. And the reason why I love it is because it's so easy, because you need to get the data to understand how much carbon your business emits. And even 12 months ago, that seemed to be a bit of a weird science, and you needed to have so much granular information, and it felt really unachievable because the options were to finger in the air, guess it, and use an Excel spreadsheet, which I definitely did try, and that was very difficult, or work with a sustainability consultant, someone who can go through an audit, and that's incredibly expensive. And what Sage does is it connects into your cloud-based accounting tools, and then it does it in 3 clicks. So you can then see how much carbon your business activities are generating. And that's really important when you think about your scope 3 emissions. For anyone who's watching this, if you don't know, your scope 3 emissions are usually about 90% of your emissions, and that's your supply chain. And it's very difficult to get transparency on that, but legislation means that we are going to have to do that. And larger organizations are thinking about that now, have been thinking about it for a while, which then means if you're supplying a larger business, they'll be asking you what, your carbon footprint is because you're part of their scope 3s. And so to be able to get access to that information so quickly it's really liberating. And I think the other point to make would be, as your business grows, the impact in a good way and in a negative way can also grow, because the reality is more people on your team is more emissions, it's more electricity, it's more of everything. And so when you're starting out, being able to take that baseline means that in the same way you set a financial budget, you can then set a carbon budget. And that's what the future of business is going to look like. So I'm really excited that we can partner with Carma Earth to be able to add that additional bit of impact measurement and tie it all together with a nice bow. And so I want to use that to lead into your business model, because again, when you're starting a business, it's like, where are our customers going to be? Who are our customers? How do we sell into our customers? And how do we keep evolving that? You all work B2B. How do you find that now? And where do you think you're going to go next? Is there plans to speak consumer to consumer?
Absolutely. And this is where Carma was born, from a B2C idea that Ian Gurney, the co-founder of Carma, had. His idea was to get a lot of people doing a little thing to make a big impact. And the concept behind Carma, before it amalgamated with Rewards Earth, was to shop online or offline through open banking with merchants. We've got 3,500 on the base so far. And through affiliate deals, the merchant would pay for the customer acquisition, but we share what we get from the merchants back to our customers in terms of cashback and trees planted. Now, can you imagine the millions, billions of pounds worth of e-commerce that happens throughout the world, and a very small percentage of that going back in the pockets of our customers? So good for the customer, good for the credit crunch, but then going back into the environment and supporting the tree planting that we do in the UK and around the world. So that was the idea of Carma. We've built that. We've got a shop. It's ready to go. But can we get that out to the masses? Not with the budget we've got. So our idea was to, well, it is, our strategy is this year and next year, we're going to very deliberately work B2B, B2B to B, and B2B to C. So we slowly introduce our platform to as many customers as possible, get the next development phases of the tech in play. The B2B proposition, the corporate tree planting days, people love them. You know, it's been a game changer for us. We've got a Shopify app that will be ready for us soon. So that again is a B2B to C play, bundling a tree in with every product you sell. We've seen our customers' conversion rates at basket increase 10% just by simply adding a tree. You've also got the ability to match fund trees, to ask your customers if they want to buy a tree. We can then get people hooked into our subscriptions and understand the value and how good it feels to give back to people and plan out. The monthly newsletters get rave reviews. I hear you're going to be making a guest appearance on one very soon, which is really exciting to read what you're thinking. Really looking forward to that. But that is our business model. We've built the product. We're working between Shopify, our subscriptions, the shop, and tree planting days. We've got a real good business, and we're marketing accordingly. We've just built the platforms ready now. We're beyond MVP. We're good to go. We're switching the marketing on, but we've had such an overwhelming response to our launch, which has been a quiet launch. We've turned up at one trade show, a national transition event for service leavers, and all of a sudden we've got this influx of customers. So we're really conscious. What we need to do now is need to make it really easy for people to do business with us, so we can make a big impact as a business. So that's what our next 2 or 3 months is going to look like, certainly, but hugely excited. But have we got the strategy right? Ask me again in 2 years.
Exactly, because you just got to go. You got to go. It was similar to something that David Watkins from Dash Ride said when we spoke to him last week. You're always going to change. It's not going to be perfect. It's about getting out there and getting the feedback, because really, as entrepreneurs, we're of service to our customers. We are of service to our customers, and it's what they say they want, what they need, what makes it easier for them to live their lives with joy and less stress and more ease. And we can't necessarily anticipate what that list is going to look like, but we got to start somewhere and get it in front of folks. And so I want to ask you, are you finding, or what's the motivation for people to come for the tree planting days? Is it the sustainability? Is it the team building? What's motivating them?
I think it's a mix of it all, actually. It's team building, it's the sustainability, it's getting out in nature, connecting with each other through the team building, but connecting with themselves and nature. People come out on a tree planting day, and the transition, the personal transition they're going through the day, everyone turns up, they're a little bit nervous. They don't know what's going on. We give them a brief. They're still a little bit nervous, but we have a bit of a laugh and a joke. And then we set people off in teams of 2 and 3 people. And then half an hour later, there's a real mood shift. People understand that they can do it. Planting a tree is not difficult, especially when the tree's only that big. Come on. And then they see what tangible impact they've made on the environment. They can see what they're doing and what they're going to achieve. And then they connect with each other. I had a brilliant quote from a VP in a very, very large corporate. The entire board was there. I said, look at these people. They don't only talk to each other, they're working in harmony. And it's that sense of shared purpose and togetherness and doing that task. And that's breaking down barriers mentally. So people just opening up and connecting with each other, connecting with the environment, and they just absolutely love it. And at the end of the day, we give a pair of climate socks away, and people have got a real strong emotional anchor to that day and the good they've done. we planted with Go Cardless, and Ben Knight, who's head of sustainability there, well, the bloke is a force of nature, an absolute legend in this space. And he said this is the best day he'd ever done. And what testament to what we do. And we love the tree planting days. That's our flagship, because it's so tangible. It's in the UK, and people say, how do we know we're planting the trees? I can take you to them. I've planted them with the people. It's just amazing. And we've done over 25,000 trees in the UK so far. We're going to do a lot more.
I love it. It's only just begun. And
Correct.
when you look back over the last couple of years, what's one thing that you wish you would have known at the start that you can pass on to anyone else who's watching this and thinking, okay, I'm going to make that step from idea to MVP?
That is a great question. There's so many things that I wish I'd have known when I started this journey, that to distill it down into one. So I wish I'd have known. No, it's difficult. I wish I'd have known how difficult it was going to be and how lonely it was in the first place. One of the things that has really helped me is joining a fellow founder community called Startup to Stand Up. I wish I'd joined that a lot easier. And being with like-minded individuals who are going through the same journey as you. So at any sort of incubator, startup, where you can get to it. And I've said it right at the top of the show, is you're a product of your environment. So if you're going through something, make that environment that you're in a safe space to operate, psychologically safe space where you can bounce ideas, ask questions. For me, I was very reluctant to do that at the start. I felt it was me versus the world, and I sat here and deliberated, and I was just using customers. But if you can get yourself in an environment where you're asking questions that they might seem dumb to you, but you know, I was on the call this morning, and you think, yeah, I can see why you wouldn't know that, because it's the unknowns that are always going to come and bite you in the bum. So if you can get more of them ahead, and just even being part of that group and being passive, you learn so much, and it's shared experience. So that's that is what I wish I'd done right from the start. Would I have been further? I don't know. I would have certainly found out a lot more of the unknowns before they started impacting me. Yeah, there's been some surprises along the way, but nothing's insurmountable. And if you've got the power of the group behind you and to help you, that certainly helps. So that would be my top tip. Get in a group of like-minded individuals and leverage the expertise within that group, because it makes you feel good knowing that you're not the only one to have come unstuck.
Facts. We hear that all the time in new beginnings in particular. Yes, it's the education and the training and the mentorship, but that real value add is being with people who are as ambitious as you, who are stepping into the unknown, who are being bold and are there to help you, because entrepreneurship is a lifestyle choice. And there are certain things that when you speak to people who maybe have never run a business, or they only think of it like The Apprentice, they can cause you to go away from what your intuition is telling you, because they might, oh, that sounds scary, or that sounds risky. And when you speak to other entrepreneurs, they're like, oh yeah, I totally had that. Just do this or do that, try this, and they'll connect you to people. And so it is really important to be in that community to, if anything, have that validation that whilst I'm going against what would be considered to be the norm, in this space, it is the norm. And so we're all pushing and working and striving together. And that helps, because I think you do go further faster. I've seen it. We take people from idea to actual product in 90 days. It's the mental side of it. It's how it supports your mental fitness, your outlook. I often will have founders say to me, oh, I'm worried about this partnership, or I'm worried about this grant, and say, in actual fact, you've taken it as far as you can today. Go take a walk. Don't sit there continually trying to exert effort where, in actual fact, for right now, you've done all you can do, and now you just must wait. And that means taking a walk, taking a nap, go doing anything else, because it's so easy to convince ourselves that we need to be working and we need to be on 24/7, even when there's not actually anything to do. That happens all the time. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Jim. It has been absolutely uplifting to hear the story of Karma Earth. Super excited about our collaboration and to bring both the Low Carbon Accelerator and Carbon Literacy and Karma to ever more businesses. So if you're watching this and you're interested, give our LinkedIn a follow or click the button and go to our website. We will see you all again very soon.